You can unmute if they have anything to say. Okay, welcome everyone. We're going to give it a couple more minutes and we will get started. Or I should say maybe one more minute. Okay. Welcome, welcome. All right. Well, hey, good evening, everyone. We're really excited to see you here. I am Mary Jansen. I'm the Regional Director for Child Care Resource Referral Region 2. I'm going to be your host tonight, but we hope that you're going to enjoy tonight, but we hope to have another speaker join as well. She's having some technical difficulties right now, so we're hoping to get her on. Tonight's agenda is pretty simple. We're going to talk a little bit about Child Care Resource Referral. We're going to highlight our services. We're going to hear from a guest and really just kind of give that overall introduction to us. We hope that tonight educates, but also allows you to learn more about how to partner alongside of us and educate you on childcare. So with that, let's get started on the next slide. Paige, go ahead and move over. So who are we? We are a statewide program. I know a lot of you on the list right now already partner with us, so it's great to see. CCR&R is a program to support child care throughout the state of Iowa. Our mission is to provide resources, education, and advocacy to support quality child care. There is one of us in every county. You may be familiar with your child care resource referral in your area, and we're going to tell you a little bit more too at the end of tonight how to get in touch with us even more. All right, next slide. So who do we serve? We serve every Iowan. How I describe us to family and friends that often ask me, what do you do every day? I describe us as Switzerland. We're in between the child care provider and Iowa HHS, which is the regulatory body. So we're divided into 5 regions. CCR&R serves services are free for all 99 counties. One of the key things that we do is really that consultation piece that helps child care providers either with regulatory, quality initiatives, and many things that we'll continue to highlight tonight. There are no income qualifications to utilize our services. Next slide. We're going to do a little overview of each of our services. So parent services is one of the best pieces, I believe, of our services. I mean, we do a lot of awesome things, but I love this piece that we do for families. So parent service specialists work alongside families to find childcare that fits the family needs. We offer free childcare referrals to families. We have a parent referral line. You can also go to our website, but parents can call and use our service. We do not tell you where to go or what childcare to choose, but we give you all the resources and tools in order to make that decision. Our consultants, like I talked about a little bit, they are really a bulk of our staff across the state, where they're going into child development homes, they're going into child care centers, preschools, and they're helping with child care providers on every single piece. You think about registration, licensing, training, policies and procedures, our IQ4K, and much more. Training, we have a group of training specialists across the state they work to plan training. We also have a statewide contract that's does a great job of serving across the state trainings, and those folks really look at professional development and what we need and what we can offer each year. A lot of those trainings, all of those trainings really are to meet licensing requirements and registration requirements, but also helps those providers become more successful. Community development, that's a lot of the team that's helped me play in tonight. Those are folks that really work and dive into those communities and work to find help with employers who are looking at childcare demands, also providers to promote the need for childcare, and also educate the importance of childcare just to the overall community. One of the other pieces that we do, and a shout out to our data specialists, I think we have a few on here tonight. We track everything childcare when it comes, everything childcare data. So this is kind of the next few slides are going to show you kind of a glimpse of our data sheets. And this is one that this is a part of the county data sheet. So total state populations listed, we then break down by age groups. So these are great tools to use as you go into communities and you're starting the conversation on the childcare need. So children births age to 5, what's the total age group? And this you see right in front of you is our statewide data. So it breaks it down. You also then see down below, it gives income information for families that are working out of the home and those that have children under the age of 6. So 76% of our families are both parents that are working outside of the home. Iowa has always rated in the top. I think we tie with another state where we're both families working out of that home. And that means that both families, both of those parents are out and the childcare is needed. You also see the family income, so an average weekly income, and that is for both parents, not just one parent. Esty has just put in our data link into the chat, so you can also go to that website. Once you go to our website and you click on data, you're going to see every single piece of data information that you need for each county in the state, and also 5-year and 10-year trends, which is great data conversations to start in communities. This slide talks about how many programs. So on those data sheets, again, you're not only going to see population, income, but then you're going to see how many programs there are in that county. So this shows statewide data for this past that we released back this summer. So how many total programs? It then breaks it down by registered child development home, child care homes, which and then Department of Ed preschools and licensed preschools. So childcare homes, the difference between that and the registered child development homes, the childcare homes would be those that are non-registered but take childcare assistance in the state. And then how many spaces within those environments that we've just listed. This next one is a big data piece that we talk to that is really important. So this is the average income or the average childcare rate, sorry. This piece I use a lot when I go into communities, and I know probably many of you have too. This is the topic of discussion, not only childcare rates, but also staff wages within each county. So we release this average every year for our child development homes and also our licensed center, and it's broken down by age group. And this is a full-time rate. So the average that a family would pay per week. So as you again, go to the counties that you live in or that you serve, you're going to see how it varies across the state. And this would actually be the statewide range right in front of you. So for your infants, toddlers, 2-year-olds, and all the way up to before and after school to full-time school age. And then, again, just promoting that data. So data at your fingertips is so important. CCR&R collects information on early childhood for community members. If you're a provider on this call tonight and you're hearing this information, know how important it is that you share your vacancies with us and also any additional information that may be pertaining to your program. That all feeds into our parent service folks when they do those referrals to get that information out to families. So we know it's very important. We also know that this data is so important for policymakers and for those of you that are on the Zoom meeting tonight to talk about making informed decisions regarding childcare. When you need this information, don't hesitate to contact one of us and also use our website as needed as well. We talked about tonight highlighting one of our services that we feel is very important. We were kind of thinking as we move through tonight, or as we move through this month, let's think about the trends that are down at the Capitol and what we're knowing right now. But we really felt like this was one of those services that we really wanted you to know. about tonight we're going to talk about registration applications. So did you know that Child Care Resource Referral is the point of contact for all new and also renewal for child development homes? So anytime a provider or a new provider comes into the system and they want to renew or become a new provider, they're going to work with our staff right away. This graphic kind of shows a nice how it flows. So really a lot of times what happens is that those folks may make contact with Iowa HHS staff, or they may make contact through our website to say, hey, we're interested in becoming a registered home provider. How can we do this, and what are the next steps? From there, that's where our consultants step in, and they really work through all the paperwork. So they receive the information, they go through it, they then help them with all of the pieces of that application. There are many steps that they have to take, training, all sorts of pieces, and then also looking to make sure that application is ready to head off to the department. So sometimes what happens is the consultant will work through it and then go to the point of contact. And in some regions, the point of contact is the main person that will work with the potential new provider. It just kind of depends on the caseload in each region. So this kind of explains a little flow of how we operate. I believe that this is so important, that those folks that are coming new in, and I know many of my colleagues would agree, that we have that person that then is there to answer those questions and walk them through and get them prepared for those next steps. We can even go out and help them prepare the environment and really kind of walk them through anything, policies and procedures, applications, handbook, whatever they would need as well, but also refer them on to folks like our child care nurse consultants or our training specialists or anybody that would be able to help them along the way. Next slide, please. Then we have, this is some data. So again, we love data here at Child Care Resource Referral. We know that. But last year, 7,160 technical assistance was provided by Child Care Resource Referral to complete registration application packets. 284 applications were submitted statewide to HHS for child development homes and also for child development homes accepting CCA. So those numbers right there speak for the service, speak for the importance of it. And we're just really, really grateful that we can partner alongside of HHS for this, but also provide this service for those folks in the community. All right. Roadblocks, there's always roadblocks. We know that, but one thing that this is why this is so important for us to serve our providers with this. So one piece is landlord rental agreements. There can be some roadblocks with this, things that landlords need to know before they before these children enter the home and before this business starts. So if that provider is potentially renting, they need to work alongside the landlord on the rental agreement and make sure that everything, including liability, condition of the home, amount of square footage, all of those pieces are in place. High school diploma or GED, that is a requirement. So those pieces sometimes can be a roadblock as well. So we can help refer them and get them moving on those next steps. Wages and benefits. Sometimes people will come to us and say they don't know what to charge. So again, we'll pull that average county data or also talk to them about how many children they are allowed to care for and what their plan is, and then also walk them through how as they plan for their wages for their rates. Background checks and necessary paperwork. This can be tough. This is a lot of work and can sometimes be a little daunting, but that's again where we step in and we help them work through that. As you know, the state just released a live scan where folks can go to a location in communities and scan their fingerprints, and that's going to speed up the process versus them having their fingerprints rolled on a card. So we're really excited about that opportunity and excited to see how that speeds up the timeline. Okay, next. These are some benefits for why you choose registration. And I'm just going to kind of give you a couple seconds just to read through this. I don't have to read it all, but a couple of them that have really the benefits like eligibility for consultation from the Iowa Department of Health and Human Services in all aspects of childcare. You know, of course, that's a big part of registration, and you'll get their support plus our support. Being identified as a community resource such as extension services, community action, Head Start, our childcare nurse consultants, who I know a few are on here tonight. These are agencies that can provide support and services. And I believe through COVID, we saw the importance of all of those folks and how we needed them even more. And so big shout out to all of our partners. Also a path to qualifying for participation in the Child and Adult Care Food Program. If you're not a registered provider or a licensed program, you cannot receive, you're not eligible. So then you need for reimbursement for meals and snacks. So that's also a big part. And then we can't forget IQ4K. One of the main reasons I came to Child Care Resource Referral many years ago, and just the eligibility for participating in that program. Okay. And then provider comments. This is just a really nice comment from a provider. So my CCR&R consultant is a wonderful support for me and others in our profession. She's an amazing asset for CCR&R. She stayed with us longer than anyone since I've begun my journey. She has a warm and accepting personality, and it helps me get through the expectations I have. All right. Let's go to the next one. So we're having some technical difficulties getting Shirley, our guest speaker, on. So give us just a second to try and get her on. And Estee's here to help me. So hold on one second. Does anyone have questions while we wait as we grab Shirley? You can put them in the chat box or go ahead and unmute.
Hey, Mary, this is Sheila.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Hey, you had that, it was like 254 new, I don't remember the exact number, new applications that came in. What do you think that compares to previous years? Do you have any idea?
Oh, that's a good question. I know Melissa's on here with me tonight. Melissa, do you remember last year's number?
I do not remember last year's number, but give me a minute and let me see if I can look it up.
Okay.
Great. Thanks.
I want to say it's higher, but I could be wrong.
Mary, this is Deb Martins.
Yes.
I know there was a significant drop during COVID in the number of applications. So I think we saw a little bit of a bounce back last year, but yeah, let Melissa get that back. So
okay. Yeah, good point. I think. Do you want
Sheila, is that a good enough answer for you, or do you still want me to look it up specifically on numbers?
No, that's good. I would expect that with COVID, that it would be somewhat higher. I guess my thoughts were more towards the legislation that was passed this last year, assuming that people were applying to try to be part of those, knowing that it might be easier to get registered and so on. So thanks.
This is Jane Armstrong from the Small Business Administration. Are you able to work with any immigrant populations if they are on the path to citizenship, say a green card status or anything?
We do. We actually, several of our regions, or a few of our regions, have projects. I was going to say, is Laura Patton on tonight? She could speak. She'd be so happy I'm putting her on the spot. Do you want to talk a little bit about your project in Polk County?
Yeah, we so I'm right here in the Des Moines area, and we work really closely with Lutheran Services of Iowa and have cohorts set up where we're partnering together to help. They identify folks through their work and then partner with us and for training and that support for registration through as they're getting settled in the area as well. So it really has been a nice partnership that we've been able to tap into interpreters to help us through the process. and see some success through that. That's been a long-standing relationship. Probably I've been here 7 years and it's been in place the whole time I've been here. And certainly during COVID, we dipped a little bit. It's come back stronger and going well. And I think it's they've duplicated the same kind of program in some other areas across the state for both LSI and then other agencies as well.
Definitely.
Have they tied you into the SBA Community Navigator program that they're getting funding for?
You know, I can't speak to that specifically, but it is familiar. I have a couple folks on our team who work directly with that. I don't know that we're tied directly to that, but certainly something I can find out more about.
Okay, thanks. I'll circle back to you.
I think Nick from LSI would probably be, they could be working on something as well. I know they've got some projects going.
And we do work closely with Nick as well.
Yeah, he's great. Okay, thanks.
And
what agency are you with? Will you tell me again?
I'm the director of the Small Business Administration, federal agency.
Okay, thank you.
And we do try to, if we know that there's a population out there of different groups, that we will try to translate if needed. So if there's a group out there that doesn't have an established cohort, but they do get in contact with us, we do try to meet the needs of a variety of different languages that we can. We try to build our website so they can translate as much as possible themselves. And then when it comes to attached documents, we try to translate if needed.
Okay, any other questions? Shirley is joining us shortly. Technology is a beautiful thing when it works.
I think to build on to what Sheila was asking about those home applications, I think what we're seeing across the state is still also an increase in interest of opening up centers. And what I think is interesting that I'm seeing, at least in Northwest Iowa, is even the smaller communities that, 5 years ago would say a center is not even possible, that now they're starting to look at, okay, how do we operate a small center? And so our community development team is working with a variety of communities trying to find those solutions that work with the small rural communities. If you're talking about scaling on a center size and when does it become profitable, it's recommended to have a center with 100 students or more into it. It's easier to make your break even on that. So it's really going to be interesting over the next few years about how can we have sustaining centers in small rural communities that maybe the population doesn't call for 100, but 30 to 40 is going to make a huge difference in some of these towns to keep families in rural Iowa, keep our rural schools going strong, and being able to keep the small businesses into our small towns.
Melissa, I would echo that. Our county data sheets are definitely showing a flip-flop in the number of childcare slots between registered homes and centers. 10 years ago, you would have shown the majority of our childcare slots in those registered homes, and now they're in centers. Our state data sheets and our county data sheets definitely show that.
Okay. Estee's going to get our next guest. Talk about a little technology issues here. So I'll give a quick introduction while we get Shirley. We're just going to put her on speakerphone and hold her up so she can speak. I'm really excited for you to hear about this project. I got to be a big part of it alongside of many of my team members. So TLC is a longstanding childcare center in the Charles City community. They were in a current building that was shared with a Head Start, and Head Start is looking to expand. And so they were needing to get needing to take the other side of their building. So they made plans to start expanding and worked alongside of the school district. The school district became a huge part of this. Shirley's going to share all the ways that they partnered with the school district, but also the community and how they came together. I will tell you that TLC is a 2-time Challenge Grant Award winner. So they received $1.5 million in Challenge Grants. I will also tell you that they just moved to their new site. So they're very excited and really been in a 4-year process of this expansion, but they did double their capacity. So Esty, are we ready for Shirley?
I believe so. I apologize all. As you know, this is just how those things work. But in the childcare world, we work with what we got. So Shirley, can you guys let me know with a thumbs up if you can hear her? Shirley, go right ahead.
Okay. Thank you for the introduction. I only heard part of it. Hopefully, we're on track with the same type of information that you want. I thought we would start with having background as to why we felt there was a need. Our previous location, we were in for over 20 years. I was there at the beginning in 2001. We started with 15 students and 8 families. And our concern was, would we ever grow so that we would become a real entity for an extended time? Well, right before we left, we were at 98% capacity. We had a waiting list, very long waiting list, and we had weekly inquiry calls. So I think we proved that one. We had problems in our facility, though. We had limited room for creative curriculum and STEM activities, no expansion possibility. Our rent was increasing. We were spending $2,900 a month for rent. Our food costs were $6 per child per day for lunch and breakfast. So we knew we had to do something. And I think I heard Mary indicated the 4 years that we spent preparing for a move. And in those 4 years, we'll talk about that later, but right now I want to show you the difference from what we're calling the first generation of TLC. And now that we've started in our second generation. Our first generation, we had 4,777 square feet. Our second generation TLC is 9,376 square feet. We have 10-foot hallways to do all kinds of activities if we want. We have a commercial kitchen and we have access to a full gym. First generation, we could serve 93 students in classrooms of 11 with school age kids, 24. In second generation, we can serve 179 students, classroom size of 24, and the grade school kids, 57. So you can see we have quite a change from first generation to our new place, our second generation TLC. We, in 2019, knowing all of our issues that we had, we went to the superintendent and just said, can we partner? What can we do? He suggested some things. We'd like the opportunity to look at this vacated middle school. In April, we did a school board presentation and knew we were on the way because they were supportive. By July, we knew we had to have some experts, so we contacted Dan Levi, architect, and asked him to come and look at our possible project. And he had with him Mary Jensen. So we had an excellent team to begin our work, the construction expert and an early childhood expert. By November, we had an open house for the entire community to look at our proposed project. And Mary and Dan were there talking, answering questions with our community, which was something that they did then for the next 3 years, really. Anytime we had a meeting, we invited them and they provided that expertise, whether it was in construction expertise or early child expertise. So we had, as we're indicating, we had a very nice relationship, partnership with architectural firm and CCR&R representative. Our third partner that we dealt with extensively was the executive director of area development. bringing in that economic development aspect that is so important with childcare centers. And that particular individual had always been very supportive personally of TLC, but now he brought in the aspect of his professional organization to support this particular project. He provided opportunities for grants in his arena. He wrote our business plan. In October of 2022, he brought 15 of the largest business and industry representatives into a meeting to discuss with our director the concept of multi-year commitment financially that would give them an X number of slots in the childcare. We had a nice meeting. They were interested, but we had no participants that signed up for that opportunity. In looking at multi-year commitments, though, we did have the school at that time, as we were talking about the lease. They made a 5-year commitment of $150,000 a year to maintain the building itself, make any maintenance issues, updating, upgrading, whatever. They also, at that time, we had a 5-year lease written, and our lease amount was $1 a year. So speaking about funding, as Mary said, we were fortunate enough to have be able to receive 2 of the Child Care Challenge grants. And it's hard to even express the amount of impact that had. We were just fortunate enough to be far enough along in our discussions that we fit perfectly into what was desired for the recipients of those grants. If you take those out of the equation, those 2, and look at but those 2 is 1.5 million, but our project was a 2.1. So leaving that 600,000, and just looking at that, I'm very pleased to be able to indicate that Charles City residents accounted in donations more than half of that $600,000. So in looking at that, we had donations from the city, the county, the Lions organization, Rotary, area development, and there were several memorials for an individual that was closely linked to TLC. So we were very fortunate to have those contributions included. By the end of October, so by November 1, we were still $275,000 short. We had a $275,000 gap in our funding. And there was an individual in town that I was asked to talk to. I had a couple of phone calls. I had a one-on-one visit with him and a tour of the building. And at the close of the tour, we were given a check for $275,000. So on December 9th, mark the day, we received the check that ended our fundraising for this 4-year project. And because of all the work and all the times that I'd called Mary for problems that we had, Mary was the first person I called to share the news that we had received that particular check and our gap had been removed. We had finalized our funding.
Wow.
With that, it's been difficult to just talk about this on the phone, but hopefully I've given you some information to at least think about.
Mary said best call of the year.
Mary, is there anything else you want talked about?
I said, Shirley, I said, Mary put in the chat, best call of the year, the one that you placed to her to let her know. So you've done a terrific job sharing this story. Does anyone have any questions for Shirley while we have her on the line, and just to ask or to just reflect upon? It's quite a brilliant story.
Mhm.
It was an exciting 4 years.
It was, yeah. And I think what's really cool about your group is you all worked together there, everybody tackled it together, and there was ups and downs for sure, but you guys were always determined.
That's true. There weren't that many downs. The worst, I think the most frustrating down is the moving target.
Mhm. Yep.
And with supply chain and everything that everyone wants to talk about or needs to talk about sometime, that is very frustrating when you think you're coming along just fine and your move-in date is set and the major piece of equipment that is supposed to be there in May has been postponed until August.
Mhm. Yes.
And that, I think that's the frustrating part. The other frustrating part is the fact that none of our business and industry people jumped on the opportunity to give a multi-year contribution with slots attached to that. But I think that'll be our step when we begin 2023 and look at the future. That'll be where we'll start looking for sustainability financing.
Yep.
Because they were interested, they just were, I wouldn't say unwilling, but they're unable to write the checks. Some of our companies, the head office is on the East Coast. They can't make quick decisions, especially of that size.
Yeah. Definitely. There's lots of nice comments in the chat box. Congratulations, but also Shirley, sharing your success story across the state. That's part of the reason why I asked Shirley tonight to share. She documented the last 4 years in a notebook. So she's got everything down, which I think will help a lot of communities as they move forward. And here's what we tried, and here's what worked. And so definitely we need to think about a way to share that out and maybe do a more formal presentation too with you and a few others from the group. I wish I had the picture of the day of your groundbreaking when the construction started and all the kids had hard hats and safety vests on. That was a super fun day.
That it doesn't get any cuter than that. When you have 5 4-year-olds with hard hats and yellow vests on, no one else really needed to be in the picture, I don't think.
We stood in it, but we didn't need to be in it. That's for sure.
That's right. Nobody noticed who else was in the picture, Mary. Sorry.
Right.
New meaning to the workforce behind the workforce. That's for sure.
That's exactly right. Yeah, they were the highlight. All right. Any questions for Shirley while we have her? Okay. Well, thanks, Shirley. Thanks for being a good voice. Thanks for battling through the technical difficulties, and great job.
I apologize for the technology issue that I've used Zoom for the last 4 years. I don't know what happened here. So
Hey, that's okay.
I love technology. So
Yes.
and would just reiterate what you said, Mary, that notebook that I have kept, I mean, it has absolutely every meeting phone call that we did in 4 years, and shows that progression of what went on and what worked. Would be more than happy to share with anyone that's interested in doing that. So just keep in touch.
Definitely. Yeah, you can reach out to us and we can connect you with Shirley. And we'll show you the cute picture of the kids. All right.
Thank you, Shirley.
Thanks, Shirley. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. And then let's go to the next slide. We'll just wrap up tonight. Ways to be in touch with us. There are the 5 regional directors for Child Care Resource and Referral. They all backed me up tonight when we were having technical difficulties. Thank you, ladies. So these are the 5 of us. You can see the regions that we cover and our email addresses there listed. You can also go to our website and find us that way as well. And then also ways to connect with us: social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You can find us on there. We do many posts per day Lots of exciting things are shared via our social media channels. And so you can connect with us there and head to our website if you want to find the appropriate channels. And then any questions that you have for us before we wrap up tonight? No questions? We've answered all your childcare questions tonight. It's wonderful. Well, hey, on behalf of Child Care Resource Referral, thank you for being here tonight on this cold Iowa evening. We appreciate everything that all of you are doing for childcare and the conversation, and as we move into the next few months. We, again, here's our website and information. We hope that we see you again real soon and keep in touch. Thank you very much.